Grenada, a beautiful Caribbean island nation located just off the coast of South America. However, to date, the nation has not had a consistent outdoor air pollution monitoring program. How is air quality on the island? How impactful are the dust storms that occur every year? What was the effect of COVID-19 restrictions on air quality on the island? In this series, I present my master's thesis project work exploring these topics. Now, let's get into it. Hello and welcome. I am Nicholas Durienzo, and I'm a recent graduate with an MSc in Health Sciences from Carleton University. And this is the first video in a four-part series where I present my master's thesis project titled Temporal Trends in Ambient Fine Particulate Matter Air Pollution in Grenada, West Indies in 2020. Now in this first video, I'm going to start off by going over preliminary background information so that I can establish the two main research objectives of the project. Now without further ado, let's get into an introduction of the island nation of Grenada. Situated in the West Indies is Grenada, also known as the Spice Island. As of July 2021, the island has an estimated population of 113,570. Grenada is largely a tourism-based economy that is also a significant agricultural exporter of spices and crops, such as nutmeg, bananas, sugarcane, tomatoes, and plantains. There is also small-scale industrial activity in the form of producing beverages and foodstuffs, textiles, and the assembly of electronic components for export. Contributing to Grenada's GDP are its services sector at 77.7%, its industrial sector at 15.5%, and its agricultural sector at 6.8%. As for Grenada's land use, it can be subdivided into agricultural land at 32.3%, forest at 50%, and other land use types at 17.7%. Grenada has a tropical climate that is tempered by northeasterly trade winds throughout the year. There also happens to be little variation in temperature and relative humidity on an annual basis on the island. For temperature, this is indicated by the small distance between the mean monthly minimum temperature of 23.46 Celsius and the mean monthly maximum temperature of 31.08 Celsius, calculated from 1991 to 2020 in Grenada. For relative humidity, levels are consistently above 70% throughout the year on the island. Grenada is one of many islands in the Caribbean that has lacked continuous, ground-based, systematic monitoring of outdoor air pollution. As well, the island has a wide array of potential outdoor air pollution sources, being either local or regional in nature. So with that being said, let's start off with the local sources of outdoor air pollution in Grenada, first being the transportation sector. As of 2008, Grenada's transportation sector, which includes land, air, and marine transport, accounted for about half of its energy consumption. As well, the sector is highly dependent on fossil fuels, such as gasoline and diesel. Next is electricity generation. Also as of 2008, the power sector in Grenada was responsible for about 40% of the island's energy consumption. In 2018, the fuel type used for electricity generation in Grenada was reported to have a split of 99% diesel and 1% solar. Coming third is open waste burning. As noted in the Caribbean Report on actions taken by governments to improve air quality in 2017, all nations in the Caribbean burn at least one form of waste in open fires, whether that be agricultural or municipal waste. This burning practice is known to be a major source of particulate matter and black carbon in the Latin America and Caribbean region. Now let's move on to the regional sources, starting off with biomass burning smoke. Savanna fires in the Sudano-Sahel region of North Africa produce smoke, and sometimes it is mixed with desert dust, which gets transported to the Caribbean and South America. In Kaufman et al. 2005, dust and smoke transport from Africa to South America and the Caribbean were quantified based on satellite observations from 2001 to 2003. The analysis revealed that from December to March, the aerosol mixture had a split of 45% smoke and 55% dust. However, from June to September, the aerosol mixture transported from Africa had a split of 14% smoke and 86% dust. Potentially the most important source of outdoor air pollution in Grenada is Saharan dust. Desert dust is an important source of air pollution in the Caribbean, as plumes of this dust are transported across the Atlantic Ocean each year. Now, here's an example of a clear day and a dust day in Grenada, taken from roughly the same location. Field measurements demonstrate that over 90% of these Saharan dust particles are under 10 micrometers in aerodynamic diameter, and about half are under 2.5, making them highly respirable. As well, epidemiological studies demonstrate particulate matter pollution to be a risk factor for cardiovascular, cerebrovascular, and respiratory diseases. In a 2006 study by Tanaka and Chiba, contributions of potential dust source regions to the global dust budget were investigated with a global dust transport model. The 6-year simulation conducted in the study indicated that the greatest contributing dust source region was North Africa, i.e., the Sahara Desert, and this region accounted for 58% of the total global dust emissions each year, according to the model simulation. As mentioned in this review article, by Shao et al., about 25% of Saharan dust goes westwards, to the Atlantic Ocean, in the direction of the Caribbean. In Glazer et al., data from a 5-year simulation using a global chemistry climate model was used to calculate deposition flux of North African dust to the Caribbean and the Amazon basin. Authors found that deposition of this dust in the Caribbean peaks in the June, July, August, and September, October, November periods of the year. The main source regions of this dust transported to the Caribbean include central and southwestern Algeria, northern and eastern Mauritania, and northern Mali. These desert dust particles are primarily composed of mineral matter, such as clays, quartz, and calcium carbonates. They also tend to have biological and chemical components adsorbed on from dust plume formation and transport. To date, there have only been 2 studies to previously investigate associations between air pollution and health in Grenada. The first is titled Saharan Dust, Climate Variability, and Asthma in Grenada, the Caribbean by Akmanar Elchi et al. In 2015. Meanwhile, the second is titled Household Bush Burning Practice and Related Respiratory Symptoms in Grenada, the Caribbean, again by Akmanar Elchi et al. In 2015. In the first study, researchers investigated relationships between mean monthly dust concentrations, meteorological parameters, and hospital visits for asthma. The data were collected over 5 years, from January 1, 2001 to December 31, 2005, and were subsequently compared throughout this period. The authors reported weak correlations between monthly measures of meteorology, dust concentration, and hospital visits for asthma. However, an important observation to make with this study is the reliance of dust concentration measurements taken on the island of Barbados, used to compare with hospital visits for asthma and meteorological data measured in Grenada. As shown here, Barbados is roughly 232 kilometers from Grenada. In the second study, researchers investigated associations between household bush burning and the prevalence of respiratory symptoms. Specifically, a questionnaire was used to gather information from households in urban and rural areas of Grenada. In total, 225 participants were recruited, and the responses on household bush burning and respiratory symptoms were analyzed. As stated in the paper, there was no statistical difference in participant demographics from those in the rural and urban areas of this study. The monthly practice of bush burning was reported by 43% of households, and of those who bush burned, 71% did it once per month, while the remaining 29% reported doing it twice monthly. As well, the prevalence of those who bush burned was higher in rural areas than urban areas. Finally, those who reported bush burning had a higher prevalence of sinusitis symptoms and a slightly higher prevalence of cough. While it was not the central goal of either of these two studies, an important observation to make is that neither examined changes in outdoor air pollution at different time scales for any extended periods of time on the island nation of Grenada. Importantly, monitoring of ambient PM2.5 for this project began in January 2020, immediately preceding the emergence of the global COVID-19 pandemic. Many countries have reported reduced levels of air pollution that have been attributed to public health restrictions put in place to reduce the person-to-person spread of COVID-19. Grenada was similarly impacted by COVID-19 and implemented several public health measures that included physical distancing policies, travel restrictions, and curfews.